wake up today to be average. So why are we living that way? I truly do believe that God wants us to be wealthy. God desires for us to live our best. You can have everything that you want in this life. You can have the money, the family, the marriage, the business, the car, whatever it is that you want. You can have it. Wealth is your birthright. You deserve to be wealthy. These are the secrets of a money mogul, the keys to living an abundant life.
Hey moguls, welcome to another episode of the Secrets of a Money Mogul podcast. I'm your host, Jaleesa Ann, and I'm on a mission to help 1 million women reach financial freedom. And this podcast is just one of the mediums that I do that through. So we talk personal development, we talk personal finance, we talk about wealth building, legacy, just a couple of the topics that we cover here on the podcast. And I am so happy that this is the first episode of 2019. I hope you guys all had an amazing new year. And we're just going to get right into it because I feel like today's topic is so necessary. You know, the new year is a great time where people are ready to change their lives. They use the new year to kind of like catapult them to the next level in their lives. So I feel like, you know, when you set goals for the new year, you know, there are people that kind of, I don't know, talk down on the whole new year, new me movement. Like I've seen some statuses about people crowding the gym, but no matter when you start, no matter when you decide that you're going to change your life, it's a great time, right? So if you made the decision that on December 31st, 2018, you were going to change your life, you're going to change your financial life, you're going to change your business, you're going to change your relationships, whatever it is that you decided you were going to change, commit to that and own that. And don't let anybody make you feel bad for using the momentum of the new year to change your life. And whether you're listening to this May 15th, May 30th, you know, it's the middle of the year and you're ready to make a decision to change your life, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. So I don't know why I went on that tangent, y'all, but I just felt led to say that. So for those of you who are on my email list, you guys got an amazing Christmas gift from me. I sent out one of my master classes, one of my paid master classes. I sent that as a gift for free to you guys, which is called the Dream Big Masterclass. And that is one of my favorite master classes where I talk about how to eliminate excuses and how to just dream big in life, how to live life to the fullest. And those tips are those strategies that I talked about in those classes, you know, you can implement at any time and you will see a change. If you do the work, you will see a change. So today's episode, we're going to talk about 5 money moves that you need to make in 2019. As a financial expert, as a person who helps women build long-term wealth, I could not start this year without talking about securing the bag, not just making the money, but actually keeping it and making it grow for you. So we're going to talk about 5 strategies that you can do to not just secure the bag, grow the bag, and have the bag working for you. These are strategies that I'm personally implementing in 2019. And I'm going to talk about that, some of my personal goals here in 2019, some of the things that I will be doing, some of these strategies that I will be implementing, and some of the things that I will be helping other women implement also. So yeah, let's just get started on that. So let's talk about the very first principle. The very first principle is to find the one thing that makes you happy and find a way to get paid for it. So the first money move that you need to be making is you need to find what makes you happy, what lights you up, what is it that you are passionate about, what kind of skill set has God gifted you with that you can make money from. What is the one thing that lights you up? Find that one thing and then find a way to make money from it. So for instance, if you feel at home when you are cooking, when you are baking, when you are in the kitchen, you are putting love into your food, maybe you need to do something like write a cookbook or start a cooking channel on YouTube that generates income. Or maybe you need to think about maybe being a private chef or hosting some type of dinners, or I don't know. These are just some of the things that are just kind of coming to my head right now. But what is something that you are extremely passionate about, that you enjoy doing, that you can make money from? And this is long term, because sometimes we are so focused on the short term picture, right? I feel like when we're kids, when we're teenagers, when we're in college, like sometimes we're so focused on, I've had family members, I've had friends who went to law school because that's what their parents wanted them to do. But then they actually came to find out they actually couldn't stand doing law. They hated doing law. If you guys don't know, I went to school to be a journalist. So I guess I'm somewhat doing journalism. My first degree is in broadcast news. My master's, which is not fully completed, we'll talk about that later, but I'm 5 classes away from finishing my master's, which I have not finished yet. And my master's will be in finance. So those are 2 very different things, but I do feel like, there's a reason for me studying those 2 things. I do feel like there's this beautiful marriage between the 2 when it comes to me starting this business, me starting a business wanting to help women reach financial freedom, and broadcasting kind of being that medium for me to do that. Back in the day, I was an intern for Fox and the CW, and I did not like being a reporter, you guys. I did not like working in a news station. I didn't like anything about it. So that's kind of what led me to the finance field, was that I just knew that I wasn't going to make at the time I felt like I wasn't going to make the money that I wanted to make as a journalist, because starting reporter pay is very, very poor. And as a college graduate, I was like, I can't survive on this starting reporter pay. So I got to do something else. And finance was one of the things that happened to pay a lot of money at the time. And I had a degree. It wasn't necessarily in finance, but I still obtained a job in that field. And for a while, I was just chasing the paycheck and not really doing what I love, not really following my passion. And I feel like 2013, when I first started this business, that was when I felt like God really revealed to me my calling, right? My calling to help women, to empower women. But even still, I still didn't really have the logistics of it. I still didn't really have the strategy behind it. So I had to find ways to actually make money from this newfound passion, from this new thing that I wanted to give to the world, from this new project. And what happens is I meet and talk to a lot of women, right? And I talk to a lot of women who have a lot of amazing ideals, who have a heart where they want to help other women, where they want to empower other women, where they want to do great things for the world, and not just for women, but men, children. I meet women who have completely different target audiences, and they want to do all these amazing things for the world, but they have no way of making money from that. It's like, I want to help single mothers because, and this is an example. So I want to help single mothers because I was a single mother and I was struggling, and I don't want other women to have to go through what I went through. Like, yeah, that's an amazing, heartfelt thing that you want to do for society. Like, that's definitely something that you're likely passionate about. But how are we going to monetize that? How are we going to make money from that? And in 2019, I want you guys to really, really focus, really, really hone in, not just on finding your passion, not just on finding who you're serving, not just on figuring out what you can offer to this world and what really, really lights you up, but also how you're going to generate income from it, how you're going to make money from it. How are you going to use that money to begin to build long-term wealth, right? So that's what this podcast is all about. This is what I want. This is what I help women do. So that is number one. That's the first money move that you must make in 2019. So let's talk about the second money move that you must make in 2019. That money move is to ask for more. Ask for more. You know, I started this podcast talking about the Dream Big Masterclass that I sent out as a Christmas gift to my email list. And one of the things I talk about in that class is that it is okay to dream big. It is okay to have big, wild ambitions. Do not let anyone tell you that you have to play small, or that you're asking for too much, or that you don't deserve it. You know, don't even let yourself be that voice that's telling you these things, right? Because for some reason, we think that asking for more means that we're ungrateful for where we are, but you can still have gratitude. You can still be content with where you are. You can still be thankful for all that God has done in your life and still want more. It is okay. It is okay for you to ask for more in your relationships. It is okay for you to ask for more in your business. It is okay for you to ask for more in your money, in your career, in your business. So if you are working a 9-to-5 right now, ask for more money. See what happens. Just go for it. If you're negotiating a salary, ask for more. If you're negotiating a bonus, ask for more. If you work on commission, ask for more. Just see. You know, the answer is no, even whether you ask or not. So if you don't ask, the answer is no. You might as well go ahead and ask for that. And if you're a business owner, what I want you to do is ask for more in your services. Ask for more on your courses. Ask for more on your one-on-one coaching. Ask for more. I told y'all 2019, we are not playing it small. This is going to be the theme all year. We are going to be going after everything that the enemy said we couldn't have. We're going to be going after everything that God wants us to have. And I don't know about y'all. And I know y'all are with me. I don't know about y'all, but I am not leaving not one thing on the table. I'm getting the whole feast. And that's really what's been on my heart. That's what I've been praying about. That's what I've been asking God for. I've been talking to a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine, and we were talking about words that we do for the year. So every year we have a different word that is kind of like our theme for the year. And this year, my theme for this year is surrender. My theme for this year is surrender, because I know that in order to step into what God wants for me, I have to surrender to the calling. I have to surrender to his plan. But in surrendering, I know that he wants more for me, right? That's why I did the prosperity prayer challenge. That's why I went through the scripture and talked about God wanting us to be wealthy, and kind of like abolishing this ideal that, you know, God doesn't find pleasure in us being wealthy. It's the enemy that doesn't want you to be wealthy, right? We talked about that in previous podcast episodes. I can't even think of which episode we talked about that. I think it's the episode where I talked about what am I trying to say? It's the episode where I talked about the misconceptions about God and money. Definitely that episode is where I talked about wanting more and asking for more, and how God wants us to have more. So that's going to be our money move number 2. We are not only going to find the thing that makes us happy, the thing that lights us up, and find a way to get paid for it, which is number one. But number two, we are going to ask for more. We're going to ask for more in our careers. We're going to ask for more money in our careers. We're going to ask for more in our business. We're going to ask for more in our services, in our products. We're going to be asking for more all year long. And if you ask for more and maybe you don't get it the first time you ask, don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Keep going. Keep going, because sometimes the answer might be no, just because that you're not meant to work with that particular person, or maybe you're not meant to stay at that particular job. Maybe, God has something bigger for you, which is more. So the third money move that you have to make in 2019, and this is one of those money moves that I feel like this is at the top 5 of everyone's New Year's resolutions or New Year's goals. But it's one of those things that, for whatever reason, it kind of gets placed on the back burner after a while. And I talk about this a lot. There's someone stealing your money. There's someone that's got their hands in your pocket. And as you're getting money, they are taking it. And that particular someone is debt. Debt. It is time, if you are not already on a debt repayment plan, if you've been told the lie that there's good debt, bad debt, there's no good debt, there's no bad debt, there is just debt. But debt is literally stealing money from your pocket. And it's funny when you look at the numbers, because for a while I never looked at the numbers. I think I was completely on purpose, because if you guys know, I've talked about my money personality before, and I am definitely an avoider. So if I don't have to look at it, I'm not going to. But being in this space and kind of starting my financial journey back when I started it, before I paid off the first $40,000 of my debt, I was forced to look at it, to look at it daily, to look at it weekly, to look at it constantly. And I'm at a point in my life where my husband and I, we have been married for almost 3 years. And this is a full transparency moment, y'all. We have been married for almost 3 years, and we have operated almost separately financially. And I know what y'all are saying. Y'all are probably like, oh, if anybody knows, what's best, you and your husband are supposed to operate as one unit. You and your husband are supposed to operate full throttle. But my husband is an accountant, and I consider myself a financial expert. So I felt like we both had our own financial ideals, and we kind of just figured we would be fine, just kind of like him doing his thing, me kind of doing my thing. But of course, when you bring a child into the world, which my daughter she's getting ready to turn 1 now, things change. And you kind of have to work together. You're kind of forced to work together. And so this year we have been working together on really combining our finances, really getting intentional about what we intend to do moving forward, about our goals, and about really releasing any additional debt that we both have. Because now if he has it, it's mine. If I have it, it's his. It's combined debt. Before, we had our separate debts and we were still operating very separately, but now we have combined household debt. And I was looking at the numbers the other day, and I realized that we were putting $1,500-$1,600 a month towards debt repayment. And this was just if we were just doing the minimum payments. Now we're really about to attack it and really just get rid of everything. And last year, I want to say we paid off a significant amount, and I'm going to run those numbers and probably talk about those later on this year in the podcast. But now it's time to get intentional, to get these people out of our pocket, to get these people out of your pocket. And to get on, I've always tell people, get on a debt repayment plan, then focus on making more income. You don't necessarily want to focus on debt, because what you focus on expands. And I'm very I believe that the mindset is so important in anything that you do, especially financial, because money is emotional. And if you don't have the right mindset, you can know all the right habits. You can know what to do. How many times have we heard save 10%? How many times have we heard that we need to pay off debt? How many times have we heard these things? We know these things. You know, as much as I work with clients, when I talk to them, they already know half of the principles that we talk about. But the problem is that they do not do them because they don't have the right mindset. And that's why I talk a lot about personal development, because not only do they not have the right mindset, but they're not the right person at that time to be executing those strategies. So it has to be, you have to kind of like be willing to change into the type of person who does these things, right? You have to be willing to change into the type of person who's going to save money, who's going to become debt free, who believes that they can become debt free. Because I don't know about you guys, but everybody in my family has debt. Everybody that I knew growing up has debt. And it's funny because I think I've mentioned this story before, but I remember growing up, my mom worked for a bank for a while too. And I remember growing up, I would always talk about what kind of car people drove. I don't know why, as a young girl, this always fascinated me. Like, I would be like 7 years old, like, oh, you know, Sally's mom drives a Lexus, and it's the Lexus truck, and it's this model, and I don't know, that always fascinated me. And I remember my mom used to always say to me, Jaleesa, just because some people drive a certain car does not mean that they have money. It just means that they have credit. And really, it didn't even mean that they had credit, because you can finance almost any car if you're willing to make the payment. You can finance almost any car as long as you have a job. Like, that's kind of how the car industry works. Like, they'll give you an 18% interest rate and your car payment will be high as all get out, but they will finance it for you, right? So you can't determine what type of wealth or what type of money people make based off of what car they drive. And I kind of forgot where I was going with that. But what I'm saying is that it's time to get on a debt repayment plan. It's time to release the debt that you have. It's time to become debt free, believe you can become debt free, and start on a journey towards that. Join a community of people who are on fire about becoming not just debt free, but financially free. Financial freedom is very important when you are around people who are wanting the same goal. Like, literally, it becomes so intense. Like, I'm kind of new to this movement that's called the FIRE movement. And FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And I've been telling you guys about the amazing interviews that I've been doing that I'm going to be releasing on the podcast soon. This month will be the first interview that'll be released. So we'll be releasing those interviews. And I interviewed an expert who is a part of the FIRE movement. And she talks about why she's doing this movement, what this movement is. It's basically where you are working intensely, kind of living frugally for a short period of time so that you can retire early or have the option to retire early. And I'm going to have to do a whole podcast on that particular movement because I just don't think I have the time right now to kind of like go into all of the details. And I'm still learning for myself, but I've kind of like piggyback and hopped on this FIRE movement. And even being in the financial space for so long, I can't believe that I did not know about this movement until recently, until I seen an article that Susie Orman was against the FIRE movement. And in a lot of the finance groups that I'm in, they were like a lot of back and forth, a lot of kind of like arguing, going back and forth with some of the points that she was making. It was on a podcast. I think it's the Afford Anything podcast. It was on the Afford Anything podcast. Susie Orman was talking about why she didn't like the FIRE movement. But I have kind of like piggybacked on this movement. So now that I'm like so on fire about the fire movement, I've recommitted to debt-free life. I've recommitted to becoming 100% debt-free, and not only becoming 100% debt-free, but acquiring enough assets and enough income to where I can live off the interest of my assets. And that's, stock, real estate, passive income businesses, which brings me to point number 4, which is the fourth money move that you must make in 2019. The fourth money move that you must make in 2019 is to create passive income streams. I have preached this from the beginning, you guys. Like, you cannot have financial freedom without time freedom. And what comes along with time freedom is being able to make money when you're not necessarily working. So that's going to be making money off of passive income. And some people think that real estate is one of the only passive incomes out there. So there's a large focus on real estate. But I spent the day looking at some real estate just in the area, and you guys, prices are really high right now. There is a piece of real estate that I was looking at about 5 years back, which is about $80,000 to $100,000 more right now than it was 5 years back. So I don't know if prices will keep escalating. I don't know. I'm not the real estate expert. I think real estate, if that is your medium for wanting, if that's your goal for creating passive income, I think it's a great investment for some people. It is not for everybody. So don't get FOMO if you feel like real estate is not your cup of tea. It's not everybody's cup of tea. And right now, it's not my cup of tea. So I'm telling you guys that right now. I know that right now, that is not the passive income stream that I'm focusing on. So create passive income. Passive income is income that pays you when you are sleeping. So whether that's book royalties, song royalties, whether you're uploading digital products to Etsy, or you're creating courses, or there are passive income products for people that own vending machines. Vending machines are a passive income product. People buy the snacks and the sodas. There's people that own those machines that don't go to check them and pull the coins out. The company does that. People that own parking lots that get paid money from that. Royalties, song royalties, royalties on certain products, patents, things like that. There's so many amazing passive income products out there. And the thing is to not be overwhelmed with all of them, to pick one thing to focus on, whether that's, making YouTube videos and having a digital product that, makes money from your YouTube videos, or starting a podcast. Part of my goal with this podcast is to create passive income. Yes, I am actively recording episodes every week. So there is an active part of passive income. And I think that's one of the misconceptions, that people think that you don't necessarily do any work with passive income. And that's so incorrect. Whether you're buying real estate, whether you're creating digital products, whether you're creating a podcast or doing YouTube, there is work to be done up front. But the goal is that you get paid on the back end for what you've already done up front. So then there's kind of like this compounding effect. So if I'm doing YouTube videos, for instance, I might still be getting paid from YouTube videos that I did 2-3 years ago, as I'm still making new YouTube videos, if that makes sense. So at any time, I can decide maybe I don't want to make YouTube videos anymore, and I'm still going to be getting paid from the videos that I've already done, especially if you're doing your own products, advertising your own products and services in those YouTube videos. People are always searching for things, and I come across videos that came out 2-3 years ago, and I'm still watching them because they're still relevant to what I want to find out. So that's the fourth money move that we have to make in 2019, y'all. We have to create passive income streams. And I'm going to preach that from the mountaintop probably until I leave this earth. There's no freedom. There's no financial freedom without time freedom. And you get time freedom from creating passive income. So let's talk about the fifth and final money move that you must make in 2019. And that is to stay in your own lane. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Don't try to keep up with the Kardashians. Don't try to look to the left and the right and swerve into, whoever's next to you lane. Don't try to swerve into the next lane and do what the next person is doing. Stay in your own lane. I think the term is focus on your own paper. It's so easy to get distracted in what everybody else is doing. And sometimes all we need to do is just get rid of the noise. Just declutter for a minute. Just get off social media for 48 hours. Just mute certain people so that we don't feel led to do all these things that God's not telling us to do. If, for instance, I just told you guys that real estate is not going to be my cup of tea. That is not the way right now that I will be building passive income. That's not one of my focuses right now. Once I have a steady cash flow in other areas and I've built up a substantial amount of cash, I do intend on that being my cup of tea. But it's easy for me to look to the right and to the left and see everybody investing in real estate, everybody buying real estate properties, having rental properties, or, some of my friends having multiple real estate properties, and feel like I'm missing out and feel like that's what I need to be focused on. And then I start focusing on that and lose sight of what God has already called me to be doing. Right? Because now I'm too focused on real estate when maybe he called me for that for the future, but he didn't call me to that right now. And I need to be focused on what it is that I need to be doing right now to reach my financial goals right now. And that might not be one of them. Keep your eyes on your own paper. Do what God has called you to do. And if you don't know, then maybe you need to be in prayer. Maybe you need to get clarity. Maybe you need to reach out to a coach or a mentor, somebody who can maybe be completely objective and, help you through this. Help you talk through this, help you journal through this, help you pray through this, help you get clarity on this, right? Don't try to do what Susie Q is doing. Don't try to do what even I'm doing. Don't try to mimic anyone else, but do what God has called you to do. Trust me, when you stay in your own lane, the road is wide open. The road is much easier. Because when you start swerving into other people's lanes, sometimes they have roadblocks. Sometimes they have potholes that God never intended you to hit. But because you're too busy swerving in the real estate lane, when God has told you to stay in the, creating books as passive income lane, now you're experiencing all these hiccups in purchasing this real estate when God never told you to get in that lane. That's the reason. You're going over this speed bump. You're going over this pothole. You're hitting this roadblock, and you're not even supposed to be in that lane. You're not even supposed to be in that lane. And not only is it good for what God's calling you to be or calling you to do, it's also good for your sanity, right? It's good for your mindset because you're not busy comparing yourself to the person that's in the real estate lane when you're supposed to be in a different lane. You respect that I'm in my own lane. I'm focused on my own goal. I'm keeping straight at the road ahead of me. And that's that. So stay in your own lane. Mind your own business, as I say. I'm telling you guys right now, all of 2019, I will be minding the business that pays me. I have been using the screen time feature on the iPhone like crazy. And when my time runs up for social media, and sometimes, at first, when I first set my time limit, so if you guys don't have an iPhone, or I'm sure Android does this too, but if you guys have, the phone where it monitors your screen time and you can set limits. And once you set a limit, it kind of like blocks the app. So if you set a limit to only have an hour a day on Instagram, when you hit that hour a day, it'll pop up this little block thing that says like your time limit is up. Now you can click the ignore time limit for today or give me 15 more minutes. Or you can respect the fact that you've put limits in place, right? So when I first set my little time limit, like I think the first day I hit the expiration or the time limit at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, when I first set the time limit, I'm like, there's no way I'm on Instagram that long. Like, no way. But I didn't even realize how subconsciously I had been wasting time just like scrolling through Instagram, through Facebook, through different social medias. And now I'm conscious about that because I have got to stay in my own lane. Even people who are inviting me to do certain speaking engagements or certain community engagements, if they're not in alignment with what I know God has called me today, called me to do this year, if they're in a different lane, I'm not doing them. It's not personal. It's not that, I don't care about the cause. It's not that, the pay wasn't enough. It's none of those things. It's just that it's not in the lane that I know I'm supposed to be driving in. It's in the lane across the way, and I can't take the time to swerve all the way over there and get in that lane when I'm not supposed to be in that lane, if that makes sense. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. It's short, it's quick, it's sweet, but I really hope that you find these tips very helpful. So remember, the first money move that you should be making in 2019 is to find the one thing that makes you happy and find a way to get paid for it. That's number 1. Number 2 is to ask for more. Number 3 is to release debt. Number 4 is to create passive income streams. And number 5 is to stay in your own lane. Keep your eyes on your own paper. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. I will be talking to you guys next week. I know 3 to 5 people who could use this information. I just want to thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Please feel free to share it with your friends, share it on social media, and don't forget to rate and subscribe on iTunes. I love y'all, and I thank you for another amazing episode, and I will see you next week.